ladies and gentlemen, now for our upcoming talk. It is time for the topic on establishing customer intimacy in a contactless world and AI perspective. Description being, in the age of digitization, customer preferences are determined not just by what they say, but by what they do. As a result, AI and machine learning have taken center stage and play crucial roles in initiating and maintaining your organization's customer relationships. Knowing about the customer preferences on Twitter or Instagram is one thing, but acting on their behavioral information is a whole different ballgame. Now, during the 20-minute session, we'll cover 2021 AI trends impacting customer intelligence. What does AI fit in typical customer lifecycle and the potential challenges, and also how are leading organizations leveraging AI to remain relevant to their customers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at the World CX show for the Tech Talk, we're joined by Richard Jones, VP and GM APAC Dataiku Singapore. Well, Richard enables organizations to create a competitive advantage, increasing shareholder value and a great working environment, and has over 20 years of experience in driving value for customers. It is now time to pass it on to Richard.
Thank you, Pavana, and I really appreciate the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening if you are potentially in other parts of the world. It is my distinct pleasure to be here today to discuss and walk through some journeys around establishing customer intimacy in a contactless world. For me, this is an interesting topic for one of two reasons. For an executive that is in AI and looking to share and work with organizations across the Asia Pacific market on how to evolve and adopt AI into the every way of working, I have to say the contactless world, or as I like to refer to it as the world of a screen, where you may not know an individual, it is becoming an exceptionally critical component to all business operations. And hopefully today, what I'm going to share is some of the perspectives of how the AI journey is deriving itself in enterprise, some case studies, and really the realities behind the scenes of what does it mean to embrace AI in a contactless world. So a little bit about DataRaku. I'll share some trends that we see around customer intelligence and some highlights, some critical elements. I'm going to talk about the progression of the economic value and set context from learning from history of where we've moved today. Going to talk about the journey of embedded AI and embracing AI in all your customer touch points, and then give you some takeaways, and hopefully we'll stick within the kind of 15-20 minute time frame that we have. So a bit about DataRaku. We are a second-year leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We progressed this year. It just got released in February. We've been around for about 8+ years now, and we're a global organization. We've got about 550 people, and we serve all industries with our platform and technology. Some interesting points to know: one of our recent investors, Capital G, which is part of Google, really validated the capabilities of our technology, given that the engineering lens that they have on their investments. And we're expanding and growing our ecosystem consistently and aggressively across the market. So enough about DataRaku, more about what are the trends we see that are happening across the customer journey and customer intimacy lens. There's a couple of key things that I wanted to really bring out to bear here that we see. MLOps and AI governance is really starting to become a dominant conversation topic. And we'll see some of the reasons why as we go through the presentation. The need for collaboration and inclusiveness across the journey management is becoming a key topic. and then moving from AI to embedded AI and the ownership of the AI environment. And we'll touch about what that really means, and a big shift, I would say, into the importance of responsible AI, ethical AI, whichever word you may want to wrap around that particular challenge. So let's take ourselves back in time, back to 1998, when Joseph Pine and James Gilmore published the economic value deriver over the different industrialization trends, from the agrarian to the industrial to the service agenda, and now into the wonders of what we call the digital economy. And if we look at their traditional slide, it talks about moving through the commoditization into goods creation, services around that creation, and then the experience. And what is the user requirement across that journey? And so we can see the different changes from supply all the way up to being able to render because of the different engagement and the different economy outputs. And the key thing that really I like about this slide is the move towards authenticity. So I hear you say, what does this have as any relevance into the customer intimacy journey? Well, there is relevance, because history does teach us a lot about change. And in the reality, we can assess it through a level of evolution in customer intimacy, but from the lens of today. And the lens of today being digital. So in the kind of older world, we can look at things like list pulling through to database marketing and event-based marketing, transitioning as we move into this era of digitalization around optimization and now real-time offer and conversions. And you know, it's a term that's been quite out there significantly for some time now, which is the ability to get to the personalization of one in an ever growing market where the screen as your lens to the intimacy portal as the unification of one also encroaches then upon all of the world of data protection and governance and PDPA, PII, PCI, all of these different regulatory needs and challenges. But we still need to understand the consumer behavior, and we need to be able to get to that intimacy of one through the journey of engagement, whether it is through an app, through a website, through other means and tracking technologies. So it's important for us, excuse me, it's important for us to really remember the foundations of where we have come from and enable us to be able to then look at what does that mean for us in the future. And so I want to, for a second, imagine that you are in your businesses, whatever that business may be, and you have a whiteboard and you have a great idea, and that idea wants to come to life. Well, Booking.com had an idea many years ago as well. And interestingly enough, their idea was to be able to improve the travel industry and as an aggregator across many of the different service lines across that industry, bring to bear the opportunity of an experience. Now, here is their website. And this is their website as it would be without an intimacy journey of engagement of technology through AI. Here is their website in its full fling. And as you can see, there's a number of things here that have been highlighted. So the ideation of a need originated to improve travel effectiveness and become a leader in the market. And over time, the advent of technological change, the advancement of the ability to execute technology in a different way and process data in a far more meaningful way, led itself to the embeddedness of AI in the enterprise. And so with the embeddedness and the intimacy, we can see how AI is being applied. Topic modeling, metrics definition, automated detection of high demand properties, recommendations, ranking, content selection and delivery, the website in and of itself being driven by an AI engine. So this is the reality of what we see. And I point out that, you know, I'm just paraphrasing the level of intimacy and engagement. But through Egg on Air, the presentation of the 7 powers of machine learning really goes deep into this topic and brings to bear the need and the evolution. So we can see AI embeddedness in action. And to be honest, if you look at it from the contactless world, unfortunately to say, AI embeddedness needs to be in every action and interaction to drive the customer intimacy and personalization. And let's look at what that journey process looks like. And so the 3 I's, the insights, the interaction, and the improvement is a critical faction to consider. And so why do we need to look at these 3 I's? Well, as we probably all know, to get to personalization, you need to drive data, and you need to understand that data, and you need actually to be able to create critically informed decisions with technology that does it faster than a human can conceive and improve the predictability and the efficiency of those decisions. And so the deepening of the customer insight comes from the understanding of your data. And in today's world, we have first-party data, second-party data, third-party data, and all of these different lenses of the aggregation. And then we have the technoslavia of changing technology, changing applications, the ever barrage of modernization to contend with. And so it's not a simple thing to deal with. So we also have to consider then the interactions, which is the orchestration across all of these environments. And obviously, we wouldn't be in the world we live today if we weren't continually looking to improve and evolve. And so setting the foundation of these 3 areas is a critical requirement. So let's drill deeper into what customer insight means. From an intimacy perspective, we all look at it from the contact lens, which is through the mobile environment, the website environment. But the reality of executing that, we need to look at it from the lens of operation. And the lens of operation is all the systems and the interactions and the engagements that we have. And what might that look like? Well, yes, you have your CRMs. You have all of the web traffic log that gets generated from the interaction with an engagement through that contactless lens. You've got everybody's social data. You've got open data, third-party data. And obviously, for those of you that have customers in the forefront, you have the customer transaction history data, which can be a core pillar to the intimacy and deepening of the understanding. Now, first and foremost, there's that lens of getting to the utopia of the single customer view. It could be the single product view, it could be the single vendor view, the supplier view, but that utopia is the foundation block of then being able to deepen your understanding. And once you have your utopia blocks, you then can get into your segmentation and your attributions and drive a lot of this embedded AI. So we've covered there a bit more deep around insight. The challenge when you look across the journey is actually taking from the initiation, the ideation of your data in the applications. It's fine to go, I've got 100 models, I've got 300 models. Let me throw them at the data and see what it comes back at. But it makes absolutely no difference to the enterprise if the model doesn't make it to production, because your systems are different in the lens of being able to embrace and embed the technology requirements to adopt AI. So a criticality of the interacting across the value chain is understanding that need for operationalizations and moving the environment to a production state in your journey. As we assume now we live in the world, we've got our insights, we're in a utopia state of understanding our customers. we have a capability across the landscape of the technology and the complexity to be able to move things to production. The key thing then is being able to iterate around the journey and understand how you can improve and execute to drive value and increase the bottom line. And this is where then increasing your ability and effectiveness really comes into play, and understanding how you don't just go from several use case adoptions, but you really take to the enterprise the hundreds, if not thousands, of AI use cases from every discipline across the business, whether that is the customer journey at the front, whether that is from your operational systems, whether that be in your finance ops, your HR ops, your legal ops, your procurement ops, that keep the business in transformation and agile in the economy today that has an ever-ending pressure of being faster and more engaged to your customer value chain and execution of revenue. And this becomes then part of the fittest of the fittest. And it's not about a case today of where I should be adopting AI. It's how effectively can I adopt, how fast can I adopt, and how can I make that more productive and effective and efficient in the enterprise. Now, the reality of what I've been talking about does have a kind of design pattern behind it. And the design pattern is there are ideas, and ideas might be use cases, ideas could be new lines of business, ideas could be all the way through to the creation of new companies and joint ventures. But to get there, you have to follow a journey, and that journey needs to take into account and affect multitude of personas across the enterprise, and engaging those personas to actually derive value of AI. And you can see here what this is depicting. It's not a simple status quo. There's many interactions across many people and many capabilities and activities that get executed to drive the AI adoption in the embedded enterprise. Now, we do need to take umbrage around the risks of AI and not sit on our laurels that AI is the be all and end all and going to solve all of our challenges, because it's a capability, but we have responsibility and there are risks, and we have seen those risks exposed in industry today. And we can't ignore that those risks exist, and at national agendas, at regulator agendas, and one would hope at corporate agendas in and of itself, companies respect and expect themselves to take ownership and accountability for the responsible adoption of AI. And you want to make sure that it does it from two lenses, and that is from the human-centric perspective and the process-oriented perspective. And it's critical to understand that there is a difference, because the lenses of AI from human centricity ensure the removal of bias, and the lenses of responsible AI from process ensure the traceability, trackability, and auditability. Now, the key to value in my lens really is actually driving from that conceptualization of origination all the way through to whether that is increased customer acquisition, or product segment acquisition, to, market segment acquisition, to potentially recovery of lost capability into the market. And as we can see here, that there are a multitude of lenses across that value chain, and the more ability for an organization to embrace the need for execution of many, not one, is where the value creation in the customer journey and the path to the customer intimacy is going to be derived. How does DataRaku address some of these challenges? DataRaku addresses some of these challenges by looking across that spectrum and taking into account the fact that there are many personas and there are many requirements across the enterprise. And we respect and understand each persona has a role to play across that journey. But what we also respect is the fact they all interact and operate together. And to drive from one to many to hundreds to thousands is where the opportunity exists in this journey to customer intimacy. And so the platform enables the talents of the enterprise with the skills that they have to bring it to the platform and remove the challenges of the technological change and bring in the advancement and the productivity and the effectiveness across the enterprise. And so this kind of shows you all of the areas of the ability to drive that value chain with an end-to-end platform perspective. It's totally achievable, and we have many customers, as you've seen, some 500 plus. But I wanted to just bring towards a close here that what this brings is the ability for organizations to adopt faster, to adopt quicker, and to adopt a unified approach with the right lens of governance, controls, auditability. And so to take away from today, I hope you leave with three things. Driving the ability to be frictionless across the enterprise, understanding that the need for insight is critical, the need for interaction and deployability to production is what's going to drive the productivity, and the ability to involve and approve over time. Take ownership and understand the implicitness that human centricity and process centricity are a key factor of ensuring AI becomes an everyday part of an everyday job in an everyday world of working in customer intimacy, and democratize it across the enterprise. Start small, be bold, drive every engagement with an AI potential decision in the embedded way of customer intimacy. And with that, I hope you've taken some lessons and learnings from today. It's been my pleasure to be here today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Richard, and thank you for giving us your valuable time.